Hi everybody, Laura here from My Favorite Things. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've got a festive little project to share with you using some of the new October release goodies by My Favorite Things. So I'm going to get started using a piece of this Bristol paper. Most of the time when I ink blend, I use my Neenah, my standard Neenah Solar White. But when I'm going to cover an entire panel and I just want to get good results, I turn to Bristol paper. If you haven't given it a try, try it. It does give you different results than the Neenah Solar White. It's something about it, the thickness, the coating of it, I don't know, but it works like butter. And these are Distress Oxide inks. I started with Scattered Straw, which is one of the new Distress Oxide colors. And then around the edges, a little bit of Wild Honey. Now here is the Snow Flurry stencil. But I'm not making snow today because I have a yellow background and I'm going to ink blend more yellow. And you know that yellow snow is a no-go, right? So it's not going to be a snowy background even though I'm using a Snow Flurry stencil. So just showing you can get a little more mileage out of the stencil. If you don't want to use it for snow, you can just make a soft, glowy, dotted background. Now here is the Perfect Poinsettia die set. I didn't even snip them apart. I kept the whole thing together, running it through with a panel of Neenah Solar White cardstock. I'm going to ink blend all of these little pieces. So I'm starting with Festive Berries, which is another new delicious oxide color. And these are delicate. You kind of got to go light-handed. You don't want to like bend the little poinsettia. So you have the larger of the petals and then the other one is smaller so you can layer them up. I've seen some people die cut the poinsettia with solid color cardstock, which looks just as gorgeous, but I wanted to keep with the ink blending vibe I got going. Here in the center, I'm doing a little bit of aged mahogany to give it a bit of a gradient feel, and I fade it back out with the Festive Berries. And look at that. So pretty. Now for the smaller one, I want to go even just a smidge lighter. So I start with Worn Lipstick. Gives you a nice little, you ever seen the kind of pinky poinsettias? They're so pretty. There's lots of different colors of poinsettias actually. When I did, of course, you know me, I like to do my research. So of course, I Googled poinsettias and I saw all the different colors. Now for the leaves, I'm doing a little bit of Shabby Shutters and Pine Needles. Every time around the holidays, I like to treat myself to a big old poinsettia. I try to find the biggest, most beautiful one I can find at Walmart. And I put it on my dining table and I just look at it and I enjoy it. Of course, now we're still in October. We haven't hit Halloween yet, but in the card making world, we're talking poinsettias. So I love a good poinsettia. I usually get a red one. Anyway, now I thought I would do a little flicking. So I'm flicking on some Wild Honey. That wasn't dark enough, so I got a little bit of this rusty hinge. This is the thing. When I feel like a card just needs something, but I don't know what it needs, I start flicking. It's just what I do. And then I thought, I'll add a little white. So this is some white ink, liquid ink, and I flick that on too. And then once you get going, once you open the flicking door, it's hard to stop. So I ended up flicking everything on this entire card. Everything but the sentiment got flicked, but everything got flicked its own color. You know what I mean? So the poinsettias got flicked with the aged mahogany as well as a little bit of that white ink. And then the leaves, of course, got green flicks. And if you're thinking, oh my gosh, Laura, you are getting your work mat filthy. You are correct. I wish you could just see the mess I made. I had flicks all over all my Distress Oxide ink pads. Flicks on my camera, flicks on my camera lens. It was everywhere. But I just had so much fun. I got in the flicking zone. I couldn't stop. Now I am stamping a sentiment from the Trio of Trees stamp set, and I'm embossing that in white on a little strip of black cardstock. As you can see, I cleaned up my workspace, and I'm going to start assembling this card. I put foam tape on the back of that panel, and then now the poinsettia, I'm going to zhuzh it up a little. So I took my bone folder and I'm kind of working the petals, and you can fold them in and then you can bend them. There's some score marks on the poinsettias that help it to kind of bend and all that jazz. So put a dot of glue right in the center because I want this poinsettia to lift up and have a little bit of movement. Again, on the smaller petals, zhuzhing them up. Zhuzhing is a very scientific term if you didn't know that. That means kicking it up a notch. Again, a dot of glue, adhering that on. Next, I'm going to adhere the centers of the poinsettia, these little pokey thingamajiggies. I looked up because I wanted to research what are these called. I was going to call them stamen, but I think they're called cyathium. By the way, I ink blended those with scattered straw. And then I'm just adhering the leaves, kind of tucking them in underneath and manipulating them so that they bend and lift off. Got lots of dimension here. And then lastly, going to pop up the little Merry Christmas sentiment strip. And then I couldn't leave without a little bit of shimmer. So I'm adhering a few sparkling clear sequins. Got lots of different sizes there. And this card is finished. Is it safe to say that this was a flickin' good time? Is that a bad word? It sounds kind of bad, but you know what I mean. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.